Today I want to read to you a story called FinM'Coul, the Giant of Knockmany Hill. It's about an Irish folk hero named FinM'Coul. Now, you might have heard about Paul Bunyan. He's one of the American folk heroes, and we say that he was this huge giant and he had a huge ox named Babe, and he could do all kinds of things. Well, in Ireland, they also have those folk heroes, and Finn was also called a giant. And Finn built a bridge to Scotland, they say. And they say that a long time ago there was a bridge that went from Ireland to Scotland called the Giant's Causeway, and that the Giants built it. Well, at the end of the story, I'm going to have you go take a look at the real Giant's Causeway using Google Earth and see what you think, if Finn really built it with his family or not. But let's get to the story. So, FinM'Coul, the Giant of Knockmany Hill. This is by Tommy DePaula. And before I start, I want you to look at the pictures. And do you see the little fairy down there? Little tiny sheep? This gives you an idea about how big Finn was. In olden times, when Ireland's glens and woods were still filled with fairies and leprechauns, giants too lived on that fair Emerald Isle. One of the finest of those big folk was FinM'Coul, who was wed to the lovely great lass Una. They made their home at the top of Knockmany Hill. Now, as any good giant, FinM'Coul had his work to do, so he was often away from home. Lovely Una didn't seem to mind, for there were plenty of things to keep her own hands busy. Spinning, knitting, and even giving a pretty touch to their great house. Life was very pleasant indeed. One morning, when FinM'Coul was busy working with his kin, building a causeway to Scotland, the word came that Cuchulainn was coming. Now, I want you to take a guess. Who is Cuchulainn? Well, Cuchulainn was a giant too, and without a doubt the strongest in that part of the world. When he walked, the very earth trembled. And with one blow to his fist, he had flattened a thunderbolt, so it looked like a pancake. He was so proud of that feat that he kept the thunderbolt in his pocket to show all just how strong he was. Now think, do you think you could really flatten a thunderbolt? Like lightning from the sky? Probably not. Every giant in Ireland had been given a good beating by Cuchulainn. Every giant, that is, except FinM'Coul. And Cuchulainn swore by the green that he would never rest, day or night, winter or summer, until FinM'Coul was added to his list. Boy, he doesn't look like a nice guy, does he? So far, Finn had been smart enough. He kept moving about wherever he heard that Cuchulainn was in the neighborhood. But this time, Cuchulainn was sure to get him, so Finn left the causeway and sped off for Knockmany Hill, for his house and his darling Una. "Finn, my love," said Una, greeting him at the door. "What brings you home so early from your work?" "The chance to get a sight of you, my sweet thing," said Finn. Since he was as honest as a summer day is long, he added, "and to keep out of the way of Cuchulainn. He's after me." Una soothed her husband. She brought him his slippers and lit his pipe for him. She stirred up the peat fire so it would be cozy, and then she set down a huge mug of stout and cut a gigantic slab of soda bread for her dearie. "Finn, husband of mine, enough is enough," said Una, as gently as she could. "For years you've been hiking around from one place to another to avoid that Cuchulainn. Why, you even built our house high on the windiest of hills so you would see him coming. You'll not get a moment's rest until you stand fast and face him." "Aye, I'll be getting plenty of rest if I stand fast and he knocks me down. I don't have the heart to face a man who can make a young earthquake just by his walk, and who carries around a flattened thunderbolt in his pocket just to prove his strength." At that, Knockmany Hill gave a little dance. "He's coming," said Finn, his face turning a fine shade of pale green. "Now hush," said Una, "and give me some time to think. Do you worry that I won't do all I can to help you settle this matter once and for all? Una then worked a charm the fairies had taught her. She took 9 woolen threads, each a different color. She braided them into 3 braids. She put one around her right arm, one circling her heart, and the third around her ankle. Now nothing she did could fail. Oh, there are the little fairies. There's Finn. He looks a little bit scared, doesn't he? Now she sent around to all the neighbors to borrow 1 in 20 iron frying pans. Do you know what a frying pan is? The pan that you cook with, that maybe you make eggs with in the morning. She hid them in 1 in 20 loaves of bread that she baked on the fire in the usual way. She set them in the cupboard with some bread that she had baked yesterday. Then she took a pot of milk and made it into fresh, wet cheese and put it along with some white stones at the foot of the cradle she had made up. So if you look really closely, Una's super smart. She hid a pan inside each of those loaves of bread, and then she's turning the cream into cheese, but then she's putting it next to some white rocks. Do you have an idea what she's going to do? No, not yet. Now, my darling, she said, handing Finn some baby clothes, put these on and do everything just as I'm about to tell you. And remember, Cuchullin's strength lies in the brass finger he has on his right hand. So he has a special finger, a brass finger that has all of his strength in it, kind of like a superhero, but maybe not a good superhero. Now, quick into the cradle because I hear that man mounting at the door. Kindergartners, so we're not sure why she put the loaves or the pan inside the loaves. Why did she have Finn dress up like a baby? What was that going to do? Do you have an idea? If you do, tell the person that's sitting next to you. All right, woman, bellowed the giant at the door. Where's that coward, FinM'Coul? I've been chasing here after all this time. Well, well, said Una with her sweetest smile. Now, isn't that a shame? Finn was off working on the causeway when some important family affair called him away. But he'll be home by tea time. Why don't you come right in and sit down? Poor Finn trembled in the cradle. Oh, look at Cuchullin's finger. There's the brass finger, the special one. See this, Cuchullin said, pulling out what looked like a pancake out of his pocket. This was a thunderbolt until I caught it and flattened it. And that's what I'm going to do to FinM'Coul, too, said Una. That may not be as easy as you think. FinM'Coul's a big broth of a man. Why, take a look at our little baby, and you might be getting an idea at the strength and breadth of Finn himself. Cuchullin peeked inside the cradle. Said the huge baby, looking at him. My, said Cuchullin, what a big boy. While you're waiting, why don't you have a bite to eat, said Una. She put some loaves of bread on the table, along with a can or 2 of butter and a pile of cabbages. Cuchullin, who was as much a glutton as he was a bully, popped the whole loaf in his mouth and took a huge bite, right down on top of one of the frying pans. Clang! Ah! Shouted Cuchullin. What kind of bread is this? 2 of my teeth came out. Oh, that's Finn's bread. It's the only bread he likes, said Una. Is it a little too tough for you? Tough for me, said Cuchullin. I should say not. Give me another. Cuchullin chomped another loaf and into another frying pan. Ah! You'll not have a tooth left in your mouth, woman. These 2 more teeth came out. Cuchullin howled even louder. Ah, look at his teeth. Oh, look at the frying pan. The baby began to holler too. Hungry, hungry, hungry. Oh, sweet dumpling, said Una, and she handed baby Finn, a loaf. And because there was no frying pan in this loaf, Finn ate it right down. more, said the baby, and he gobbled up another loaf. He seems like a strong lad, said Cucullin, getting a little bit worried. If this is the baby, the father must indeed be a bit stronger than Cucullin thought. Oh, yes, said Una. Why, instead of dollies, he likes to play with those white stones there in the cradle. Show the nice man, baby. What's he going to do with the stones? What do you think? Well, Finn did as he was told. He picked up the stones, that was really the cheese, and squeezed all the water out of it, and he popped it into his mouth and ate it down. Cucullin was not to be outdone by a baby. He grabbed a stone and squeezed. He squeezed and squeezed and squeezed as he might. He couldn't get one drop of water out of it. He popped it into his mouth, and with a chomp, there went the rest of his teeth. Oh, the howl that came out of him almost broke the windows. When he finally calmed down, Cucullin said to Una, What kind of teeth does that lad have? They must be made of iron. Let me see your chompers, baby. At that, baby Finn opened his mouth, and Cucullin stuck in his brass finger, the very brass finger that was the secret of his strength. Uh-oh, what's going to happen? With a strong bite, FinM'Coul bit the brass finger right off. Then up Finn leapt, and began to pound the daylights out of poor weak Cucullin. That was that. Out the door went Cucullin, never to bother anyone, let alone FinM'Coul again. Tea's ready, my love, said Una, and FinM'Coul sat down with the best giant wife in the whole wide world, and they lived a long, happy life. Now, kindergartners, who do you think the hero is of the story? Do you think it was Finn? Was it Una? And the other question I have for you is, do you think that this is fiction, a pretend story, or nonfiction? What do you think? I think it's nonfiction as well. Great. Okay, now your next job is to go on Google Earth, have mom or dad help you, or a big brother or sister, and I want you to search for the Giant's Causeway in Ireland. It's a real place, and we'll try to post some pictures. Let me know if you think that FinM'Coul and his family could have built it or not. Have a great day. And Kobe says, hi.